Time is running out for the BYU Cougars with less than a handful of regular season games remaining. This is a team that could very likely find themselves on the outside looking in come Selection Sunday. Hello everyone, I'm Ray Crawford. Though many fans like to watch high-scoring offenses and big game performances, it doesn't guarantee success, as evidenced by the Cougars' position despite the highest-scoring offense in the country. Steve Pierce writes for VanquishTheFoe.com on SB Nation and joins us now. And Steve, in your most recent article, you go into great detail breaking down the problems defensively for BYU, yet you see reason for hope. Why do you think things are starting to turn around on that end of the floor?
Well, the reason BYU is underachieved has not been because of their offense, Ray. As you mentioned, they have a great offense. The problem has been on the defensive end. If you look at the numbers, the problems have really been in half-court situations around the basket, and that has a lot to do with the youth and inexperience of their big men. Senior Nate Austin was really supposed to anchor that back line, and then he went down early with a season-ending hamstring injury, which left 3 freshmen and a sophomore to try and kind of figure out Division I college basketball on the fly. As you could expect, that hasn't gone well. It's been a big time learning curve, and that's resulted in some frustrating losses that probably shouldn't have happened. The good news is that they are learning, and you've been able to see them improve over the course of the year to where they're playing much better right now. And that's a big part of why the team's been able to win 5 of their last 6 games. You
mentioned the youth and the injuries. Some people might think, is this team cursed this year? What do you think?
Well, there's certainly been a major run of bad luck. Nearly every major player on the roster has been hurt and missed games at some point. We're talking Anson Winder, Chase Fisher, Kyle Collinsworth. Those are 3 of their leading scorers. I mentioned Nate Austin going down with a season-ending injury. UNLV transfer Jamal Aites, who was also supposed to help on the back line, never even saw the floor. And even the guys who did play through injury, like Tyler Haws, aren't playing at 100%. The Cougars, in my estimation, have actually done really well to even get to this point, where they're likely going to finish with anywhere between 23 and 25 wins on the season. That many wins is normally considered a pretty successful season for most teams, and considering the adversity that BYU's dealt with already, I'd say that's a win for the Cougars no matter where they end up in the postseason conversation.
So 25 wins, it's an impressive number when the committee sits down, but are you optimistic at all that they can make a last-minute push here and make the tournament?
Well, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago after they lost to San Diego and then lost for a second time to Pepperdine, I would have told you that their at-large hopes were pretty much dead in the water, that the resume just wasn't there, there weren't enough good wins, there were too many questionable losses. But they've had a good run of form recently. They've won 5 of their last 6 games, as I said, and you combine that with other bubble teams struggling. It means there's kind of a crack in the door for them to maybe sneak into the tournament, but there's still definitely a lot of work to do. In my opinion, in order for them to feel comfortable going into Selection Sunday, feeling confident about how they're positioned, they're probably going to have to beat Gonzaga once, probably on the road on February 28th, and then win out the rest of their games to feel like they're in a solid position to maybe sneak an at-large bid.
Well, the article is Advanced Stats Shed Light on BYU Basketball Struggles, and it's up now on VanquishTheFoe.com on SB Nation. Steve, thanks very much for the time.
Thanks, Ray.
A big weekend showdown in the WCC features Gonzaga at St. Mary's. Digger Phelps offers us a preview. The Gales and Bulldogs in hoops, highlighted by Digger, only on Campus Insiders.